Vishesh and Raman, thank you also for taking time out. And amongst both the introductions that Aditya gave, I think I need to add just a little bit more. I think both of you, when I look at you, and I've known you for some time now, both of you look very young, but have a mature head on the shoulders. And I think you bring a lot of gravitas into the work that you do now and in the work that you did in your previous avatar. Both of you are professionals who left the professional world to join a family office and to run it professionally. So Raman, you are part of, you had the Sona group family office, the Kapoor family. And Vishesh, you had the Berger Paints or UK Paints family office, the Dhingra family. And when Aditya talked to me about a session in this summit, and we talked about family offices, I kind of remembered the first time that I had heard of family offices, and that was in the late 90s and early 2000s. And it was only the ultra rich who had family offices. And in India, it was still something that was very mystical. Uh, I got to know a lot more about family offices in the European families and in the American families. But then as I started working more with the families and started understanding a lot more what family offices did, and at that time, their role was restricted to handling the wealth and looking at it in a consolidated manner, I kind of realized that we in India had actually democratized family offices for many years, for, almost 100 years, if I can say that. Only thing is, we didn't call it a family office. We called it an HUF, Hindu Undivided Family. And if you look at it, an HUF was really a platform where all the family investments were consolidated. There was a Karta, who was typically the patriarch of the family, who decided on various investments, and who decided, what trust to form, and where to invest. And actually, we from a tax perspective, we actually gave the HUF an entity status. But having democratized it, and also using the new buzz that is around family offices, my experience is that over the last 5 or let's say 10 years, the role of family offices have changed a little, or it's in a period of transition. It started off by looking only at investments. But today, anecdotally, I have evidence that they're doing a little more than that. So, Raman, let me just start with you, and I'll ask you, what is the larger role that you see family offices playing, and what is it that you bring into your family office besides just looking at the investments?
Okay. Thank you so much, Sonu, and thank you, Aditya, for having me here. Uh, you very rightly pointed out about the fact that earlier family offices were called HUFs, and HUF by nature was only about family, right? What has happened with over the last couple of years, and I would say that only a couple of years, but what has happened is this concept of this family office is actually transcended from just managing investments to going beyond doing that and managing the entire company of that, or so to say, that HUF. So that's what professionalization of family offices has actually happened, like that. The idea, if you ask me what I do from a day-to-day basis, investments just take around about 20 to 30% of my time. That's just one part of my role. My other part of the role is managing the companies, managing the operating entities, and managing the expectations and the education of the family. Okay, it is very imperative for us as professionals to bring everybody on board when it comes to investment decisions, when it comes to decisions relating to any new form of expenses that are happening in the companies, in the personal this thing, whether it's real estate planning, which Vishesh will touch upon much larger, because they do it much better than what we do. So in that sense, the role limited to investments is very, very nominal, right? So like I said, 20 to 30% of my time goes in investment. The rest of the time is about legal work. It's about organizing things. It's about audits. It's about, compliances, making sure that everything is on above board. So that's where most of our time actually goes. So having said that, I remember having this discussion with my founder as well. uh, the entire point of the investments will just be one part of it. Okay, it'll just form another aspect of what you do. Yes, you're an expert in terms of your background in investments, but you also have to, over a period of time, learn the other aspects of things. I obviously get a lot of help from my team, and I obviously hire the right kind of people for making sure that those activities are taken care of. But at the end of the day, the decision making still lies either on my shoulder or my promoter's shoulder. So hence the role, and the topic here, and it is not just limited to investments. It's just too many things at the same time. And uh, it's like a startup. I call it a startup where things are very, very fluid, and on a daily basis I'm doing 10 different things at one point in time. It's a startup with very less number of employees, let me just
Yeah.
put it like that.
And but I'm sure it's as exciting
Oh,
as
it's
a
brilliant. It's
startup
brilliant.
really is, and the pressure that the head of a family office has, I am sure, is also immense. But Vishesh, if I can move to you, typically family offices were headed by the patriarch himself, and I'm saying patriarch, and I'm saying himself knowingly because. Most or there are very few women who are the matriarchs of the business. But over the last few years, we've seen a lot of professionals coming in and heading, or let me put it this way, we've seen an openness among the patriarchs to bring in professionals to delegate their responsibilities and for them to head the family office. So what advantages do you think, or in your opinion, does a professional bring to this very, very complex role, which is that of the head of a family office?
Sure. First of all, thank you, Sonu. Thank you, Ditya, for your kind words. And I never knew that the introduction can be so fancy. But thank you for your kind words. So, yeah, I mean, in my career, I've seen this change happening very slowly, but the patriarchs have become open to getting professionals on board. And I personally think that there is a huge advantage you have when a professional is sitting out there. First is that he has if you are a professional managing a situation, you can look at it from a very neutral eye, and practically and perceptionally, both the things. So if there is anything which a professional will have, he will have a very neutral eye towards it, not biased towards anyone. And perceptionally also, it makes a lot of difference, which, as the families are growing, as they're getting deeper into it, they realize that it is better to have some professional who's up there. Second, most of the times I've also seen the situations where the next gen is not up for it. So, out of whether they are open towards it or not, they have a foundation to do it because they have to put up a system in place for what they have created. And like Raman was mentioning about the change of role of family office, I fundamentally agree. Like, I don't have an investment background per se, but and I also think that it is you can learn it over a period of time. It is required up to an extent, but we are sitting with the creators of wealth. Even if there is any decisions, the kind of wisdom he has on that investment decision, I'm still too young to match it up. Like, I can't say that I can be ever be in his shoes because he's out there, he has created it. And what better advice would I have for him to give it on the investment front? So he also understands, the patriarch also understands this factor, and they are the ones who've seen a bigger role for us, which is over and above investments, and actually stepping into his shoes to see that how everything can be put together and can be managed together.
Yeah. Yeah. So, actually, uh, you are kind of a gatekeeper to the family when it comes to dealing with the partners, whether they are investment partners, whether they are, whatever other services or products that are being offered to the family. So, and this is for each one of you. So maybe I'll start with you, Vishesh, and then go to Raman. When you are dealing with outside, I don't want to call them vendors, but possible partners, what is it that you look for? Because you are the gatekeeper, and everybody is going to try reach the family through you.
Okay, that's a very, very tough question. I've spent 7 years being on the other side of the table. Now, for me, my initial time was
Well,
very,
both of you have. Both of you have. Sorry.
it was very overwhelming. What I always, when I used to go and sell my product, it was very basic. That what do I have my domain knowledge? What I'm talking, do I know it? And if I know that the other person has that knowledge, then I would let him do his work. So
Sorry,
what I
sorry. I'm not asking you when you were on the sell side. I'm saying you as on the
that's what
buy side.
I'm
What
coming.
do you look for people in the sell side?
The only thing I look for is that whether they know what they're doing or not. It may be too soon, maybe a wrong way to understand that human being, but if they know their work and you get to understand when you speak to them, then I let it be on them. So most of the times, when a relationship manager comes to me to sell a product which doesn't know about his product, I don't get that comfort in those people. So for me, it's very important what whosoever is selling the product, whether they actually know the product or not.
So what you're saying is that the knowledge of the product, the knowledge of what they are offering is what you look for. Raman, what is it that you look for?
So apart from knowledge, that's an aspect that everybody has some or the other, whether it's a relationship manager or there's a product manager that is coming to you. Knowledge can be gained. That's one part of it. I look at softer aspects as well. I look at a factor that how honest that person is, how trustworthy that person is. Those softer aspects actually work much better, at least in my case, and it'll be slightly different from Vishesh's case, because in my case, 90% of the products, or some of the products, most of the products that are coming to our table, I have some prior understanding or knowledge of that because I've spent quite a lot of time in terms of investments and stuff. So I would have that knowledge. I would know what's happening and what's right, what's wrong. That's one part of it. Trust and honesty is another, which is very, very important in today's day and age, because at the end of the day, what generally comes across, and this has been my experience, people are just there to sell. You're not selling anything. You're actually trying to help us. So I would never say that a person coming from a sell side, because I was one at some point in time in my earlier career. uh, the idea was never to sell. The idea was always to find a solution for your problems.
Right.
This is how I worked while I was on the sell side. This is how I would expect a person that is coming right now to me is first understand that there is a problem and there is a need, and then come and pitch a product, rather than just pitching a product just because a firm is pitching it.
Right.
So understanding of what my needs are more important than understanding what the needs of the firm that they are representing are.
Right. So if I hear both of you, what you're saying is that besides the knowledge, which should be a fait accompli, you're also looking for trust, you're also looking for comfort, and you're also looking at the attitude with which the person approaches you. Okay, so since both of you are have promoters who and patriarchs and families which are in different life stages, so let me ask two different questions. So first, let me ask Vishesh. As the head of a family office, you have an opportunity to deal with all the family members, and there are a large number of family members. So do you believe, given your current experience and your past experience, do you believe that a family office can play a role in ensuring smoother transition of power between generations? I mean, we've had a unsmooth transition of power in the US. Maybe the US needs a family office.
So the outright answer to that would be absolutely yes, but it also depends what stage the family office is in and what stage the family is in.
Yeah.
Because that transition, it is unlike, an election where a president is elected and he's been put to a seat. I have not seen it happening that way, and I've seen in my past experience a lot of glitches in it, because everybody thinks that the kids in the family think that they will get it one day, and it's kind of that hot debate which is out there in our sector, that what is that moment when it has to happen. So absolutely, a family office can play a tremendous role in that transition, but subject to that what stage the family office is in, that how mature the family office is in. Because fundamentally, what I think of a family office is exactly like Raman said, that it's a startup. It has its own growth stage, and once it becomes mature, then actually you kind of reap benefits of it. You can't just from day one, if you imagine that you'll start reaping benefits of a family office, that's kind of unfair.
Yeah.
So it depends on what stage it is in and what stage that the family is in. So all that is based, like for a family office to be productive and active in that, these two factors play a great role in my understanding.
So you do feel that, or you do believe that family office can actually help the process of transition through
Absolutely.
various interventions. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, there is no doubt about it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, Raman, education of the next gen and preparing them to take on the role is within the family business is one of the key ingredients of the intergenerational transfer of power. So, when it comes to education and preparing the next gen, what role can a family office play?
So, at least in our case, luckily for me, our family office is three people, right? In terms of the founders, there are three people that we are taking care of. My role is a product of succession planning. So my role was created when Sanjay's mother actually passed the baton on to Sanjay. And hence my role was created in the family office. So that's the first part. I'm just answering from the succession planning point of view. On the education side, luckily for us right now, all of Sanjay's kids are very young right now, but we are actually planning for right now. We're planning primary educations in terms of for them. And then the second part of the family office planning is also to talk about whether they want to join the own business, they want to do something of their own, or they want to get into something else. So we'll plan accordingly to that. And these are all part of our plan. This is all part of our succession plan. This is all part of our educational plan for the next generation. Not only for them, but there is an education bit that happens for the current promoters as well. One part of the education is the fact that at least in our case, Sanjay and Priya still much better in terms of obviously investment. Sanjay has always been an auto guy, right? So he understands auto sector, he understands manufacturing, but he doesn't understand investments that well. He's also learning right now. That's the role that a family office guy plays, that he makes sure that everything that happens in the portfolio is made aware, and the founders and the promoters know about what's happening in the portfolio. So he spends a considerable amount of time with me in understanding the investments, understanding different avenues, whether it's equity, whether it's debt, whether it's private equity. He spends a considerable amount of time with me. So not only for next generation, education for the current generation and the current founders is also very, very important. And that falls as a part of our own job description, so to say.
Yeah. It actually gladdens my heart when you said that Priya knows more about investments than Sanjay does.
I'm in awe in terms of, I actually was surprised myself in terms of the fact that, if she's talking about something, she's read about it. That's the beauty of, talking to people who are well read. That is just as simple as that. I'll give you a very simple example. I was never in favor of bitcoins and cryptocurrencies, and I'm pretty sure half the people are now very interested. Maybe 6-8 months back, Priya convinced me that we need to invest there. That's how it works. So it is about the fact that how much interest those guys are also taking, because it's eventually at the end of the day it's their money, right? And hence I say that it is more important for them to take more interest than for a professional who has 10 other things right now to do as well apart from investment. Yes, that is a barometer that we are benchmark on in terms of our performance, but at the end of the day it is also the softer aspects of making their lives easier from a different standpoint of audit, legal, etc., etc.
Yeah. So actually, it helps me segue into the next question, and I'll ask Vishesh that. Uh, how can family offices help more women of the family get involved in something, not necessarily the business? So how can, how can the women of the family, what is the role that a family office can play in helping the women of the family discover their true self? Because we do know, and it's a matter that I find, I mean, it's not a good statistic that even in the current world, even in the current India, where we are more educated, more enlightened, the number of women as part of the core business in families is still very, very small. So, can the family office play a role? If yes, what is the role that it can play?
See, I don't have a very straight answer for it. I will, accumulate instances from my past and I'll answer it. Uh, like you rightly said that the statistics would are on the other side of the table where you won't see much women in the family business. But luckily, particularly here, it is totally opposite. So I was glad that I didn't have to work on this aspect, at least as far as this family office is concerned. But I've seen instances in the past uh, where the families, it is just too difficult to make them understand the requirement. So it goes without saying that having a diversified or environment in a family business is just not like may have, it's a must have, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But to convince a patriarch on that has its own difficulties. I'm not gonna paint a very rosy picture about it. It is difficult. I i don't have to face it here because it's already very much equal as far as the current role is concerned. But yes, a family office can play certain kind of a role. See, everything requires a constant education. If you kind of uh, keep educating people about the requirement, the need, and the benefit, it may not happen overnight, but over the period of time. So what a family office can really do is bring out the need for it and bring out the benefits of it in front of the family and work constantly on it. So it's not a one day's proposition that you thought you conveyed your message and it is going to be done. Family office can be that pillar which can do it constantly throughout and be one of those voices who stands with this fundamental of having them on board. So apart from the regular word, being a professional means that you stand for certain things, and that is where it become a family office heads or a family office as an institution role becomes more important in putting up that point up front.
Yeah.
So there is no right or wrong. It is just bringing it up and bringing it out on a table, and constantly somebody needs to stand by it.
Yeah. 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 So, Raman, in your role as the head of the family office, I'm sure that you are contacted by a lot of people who want to offer you their products and services. Besides the investments, which is like a no-brainer, uh, you know, what is okay, or even within the investments, the question I have is that do you sometimes feel, or do you sometimes wish that there was somebody who would come to you with a particular kind of product or a service which would help the family, whether it's an investment product or a non-investment product? So I'm sure
So,
you're bombarded. Is there something that that people don't think to approach you with?
no, actually, I'll be very honest with you. People have become smarter. People have started respecting, and the fact that we have limited time and we have limited number of hours in terms of analyzing things. So I personally think that people have also started asking questions rather than just showing things, right? over a period of time, what also happens is the fact that, as I build comfort with a lot of these, partners of ours, whether it's on the audit side, whether it's on the investment side, any other, aspect of it, I myself just call them up and tell them that this is what my need is. Can you find me a solution? So it has to be both ways. It cannot be that I work in my own silo and they will magically think that what is right for me and what is wrong for me. So it is a two-way process. It's a process where I also have to be open about things, what I want. Earlier, what used to happen was the fact that people were very, very guarded in terms of telling about their family office, what they're investing into, etc., etc. Right? So much so they never used to even disclose the number of their AUM. What are they managing, how are they managing, etc. Now people have become a little more open about it. People are chill about the fact that, yes, our promoter has wealth. You anyways, 90% of listed promoters' wealth is calculated via their share prices on a daily basis. I really don't know. So people have become a little more open. People have become a little more, at least buy side guys. Let me just point it out very, very clearly. It was the buy side guys who were never open, and the sell side guys want them to open up, right? That's how the nature of the game is. But having said that, I have also realized over the last 2 years that if I don't ask for it, I will not get it. So I have to ask for it. I have to go out and talk to 10 people and make them understand my issues and my problems and what I need. So today it's very streamlined. After, I can still say that, I keep getting approached for certain things which we don't do. And the worst thing is that, somebody sending you a message saying that, please, can we get on a call and, can you explain us your thesis? It gets painful over and over again. I still try to do it as much as I can, but, it gets a little painful by explaining to new people again and again what we are doing. So that's why, I'm actually now changing our website of our company, which explains our thesis of investment. So I will just guide people to that and tell them that have a look at our page and, you'll know what we are looking at. So that's how open you have to be as well. So I can't blame everything that, we're not getting the right products and all. I think we're not searching for it. We're not asking for it. There are every types of products that are available in the market. And it's just that you need to be open and you need to be upfront about what you want.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's.
Don't you consider, Raman, that it's a tougher market to be in?
Sorry?
I still find it very tough to actually find the real products.
Yeah, it is true. But, I have a slightly different experience because of the fact that, Vishesh, I've spent quite a lot of time in terms of investments. So it's now my 13th year running. I have done institutional equities. I've done wealth management. So I know a few people who I can just call up and they'll have the entire knowledge. So I'll pass on those numbers and I'll connect you to them. It'll be, those guys really are
at
very
the end of the day, there are certain things which don't get solved. At least
absolutely.
I don't say anything against the financial services, but it is right now being made so complicated that, okay, after 7 months, what I concluded out of going through everything is that it's pretty simple.
It's very simple. Yeah.
My boss used to keep on telling me, it's very simple. You don't have to spend time on it. It's very simple. You don't have to spend time on it. And after 7 months of research and, doing everything, I learned that, okay, it's done. It's this much only. There is nothing beyond it.
I keep telling this. It's the best way of investing is to invest. And it's the ETF way of investing, right? I keep telling people that.
Yeah, that's what I concluded.
Yeah. So that's the best way of investing. Just keep it simple and, you don't have to. The more complicated you make it, it'll make your life hell. I want to sleep.
Not us who make it complicated at all.
Yeah.
So can I interject here?
Yes.
My thumb of rule of the thumb was that if somebody complicates something and is complicating it when explaining it to you, there are only two reasons for it. Either that person doesn't know anything about it, or that person doesn't want you to know everything about it. True. So the moment there's this jalebi that starts happening, you need to just cut through that and say, please, cut that out and tell me. And to me, if somebody really knows their subject, they can explain it to a 4-year-old child because nothing is complicated.
So no, my rule is the 2-slide rule. If you can't explain your business in 2 slides, I would not be able to go to the 3rd slide.
Yeah.
That's how I spend my Saturdays in analyzing private equity and VC companies. I'd look at first 2 slides. If I understand the business, I'll go on and explore more. Otherwise, I don't.
Yeah, no, so I think the message for all the people who are part of the audience or who would see this later is that when you're, when complicating simple products does not show your knowledge. It doesn't raise your profile in the eyes of the listener. If you are able to explain even the most complicated product in the simplest manner, that actually demonstrates, super knowledge. And professionals like you, or even anybody, can understand when somebody is doing what I call the jalebi, where either they don't know enough or they don't want you to know. Yeah.
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 Great. So, okay, so we have maybe about 10 minutes. So, I talked about what is it that you look for when you are evaluating service providers, vendors, etc. And I'm not talking of your current patriarch. I'm not talking of your current roles, but you've dealt with a lot of patriarchs. You've dealt with a lot of promoters. What is it that they look for when they are recruiting or searching for a good head of family office? Raman, you go first.
Okay, so and while on my sell side, I used to always, whenever a founder or a promoter used to come to me and ask me that they want to hire someone, my entire thing was to look at the founder first and what his experience has been. So I'll give you an example in case of Sanjay itself. Why Sanjay wanted to hire a person like me who has zero knowledge of audits, who has zero knowledge of legal and compliance, etc., but has knowledge of investments, right? So that's a complementary skill set, that he has knowledge of audit, he has knowledge of compliances, he's worked in run companies, etc., etc. So it's a complementary skill set that I will learn from him and he will learn from me, right? So this is exactly what I tell a lot of the founders that I speak to. If you're looking for a family office guy, look for something that is opposite to you and is complementary to what you can do. So in cases of different cases for different strokes for different people, but at the end of the day, you're actually, for a founder, you're actually selecting your right hand man. Okay, a family office guy is your right hand man. He's the main guy that you'll call upon for anything that happens within the family, within the companies, within the investment realm of things, right? So at the end of the day, you want a guy who's one who can stand up his ground and say no to you. That's one very, very important factor, because you need a person who can actually tell you at times that this is where you're going wrong. That's one. So honesty like that. And the other part of it is that the skill set has to be completely opposite to what your skill set has been. Okay, so for Sanjay, he's been a manufacturing guy, etc. He wants help in investments. You hire an investment guy. You don't hire somebody who has audit and all these knowledge, and hence he'll learn investments along with you. That doesn't happen. Okay, so that's how I would tell anyone who's even applying. So, and the other question is the other way around, that you should ask, why should a person even join a family office? That's the question that I keep getting asked by a lot of people, that now you're just working with one guy. How do you work with him? He'll be moody and all of that. Uska to wealth hai, ye wo. So a lot of people come back and ask me that. It is also about the fact that how attuned you are to him. He has to respect you and you have to respect his work. It clearly shows in Vishesh's first line when he said that the founder knows much more than he does. So the amount of respect that is anyways he's showing right now for him, right? So it also depends on both factors. I keep telling founders and I keep telling promoters that hire a person who will tell you who will call a spade, right? So
Yeah.
that's my
Yeah,
one line.
that's good to know. So Vishesh, not as part of the Dhingra family office, but in your earlier avatar as part of EY, where you dealt with a lot of promoters, what would they have looked for, or what would you have told them to look for when they were recruiting a head of family office?
See, frankly, I never got asked this question much, but I had this, like, there were one or two instances when they asked me. The only thing which I think missing in most of the family systems or family enterprises is people who have power to say no, like the way Raman said. So if somebody has that capability and he's doing it out of utmost maturity and sincerity, I think every skill set can be learned. There is no skill set, there is no education, knowledge, or whatever it is which can't be learned. If he has that capability to stand in front of you and say, Ki, I don't think this is right. I think that should be the one people should go for.
Yeah, but again and again, not talking specifically of your sets of promoters, but promoters typically are surrounded by yes men and who always nod their head and say, yes, sir, three bags full, sir. And they get used to being surrounded by yes men. So, to me, I think it takes a lot of self awareness in a promoter to say, I want to be with somebody or I want to trust somebody who says no. And therefore, I think it is an enlightened promoter who would be able to get the best out of the person that they bring in as the head of the family office, which is also a great responsibility because, it's like you are so close to the sun that you yourself get this whole halo around your own head because of your proximity to the sun. So how do you handle this responsibility? So Vishesh, you can go first and then Raman. How do you handle this great responsibility? There might be various family members who would be coming and talking to you. There'd be vendors who'd come and talk to you, service providers, bankers, shoo, shah, everybody.
So sometimes, honestly, I mean, it's not been much time, but this is really overwhelming at times. But one thing is for sure what I've learned and how I decide my. So I don't react right then and there. That's the quality which I've developed. I try to see things for what they are. Try to remove emotions from them and try to see them the way they are, not exaggerate them in my own mind. So that way, then I put everyone on a same parameter. So it doesn't matter who is, what role he is, what designation he is. It is that what problem is there and what's the solution, and if I can marry both of them. I mean, the only way I think is this job has made me more humble because that's the only way to go about it. Otherwise, sitting in the seat is too much responsibility, and sometimes it can be very overwhelming because people always like being on a sell side, you're not surrounded by people who would want to tell you what you want to hear, but being on a buy side, they'll absolutely tell you what you want to hear, and you don't want to hear that.
You don't want that. Yeah. So Raman, are you also overwhelmed by the
Not really,
responsibility?
not really. I take it in my stride. I understand everybody has a job to do, and people are coming to you, and it's about the chair right now. If I'm not going to be there, they're not going to ask for me. So it's as simple as that for me. uh, for me, I'm the flag bearer for the family. Okay, anything that I do should not reflect badly on the family ever. Okay, so whether I'm making an investment, so we consider every investment that either Sanjay's or Priya's name goes there. My responsibility is to the family, so that everything that we do, one, is above board, and secondly, enhances the name of the family rather than diminishes it in any form or way. So that's my role. I understand that very correctly. There are times that I have to be harsh with people. I call a family office guy is also the bad cop. Okay, there are 90% of the times the promoter cannot say no to people who are his friends for investments or for anything. I play the bad cop and I have to say no. So I know that, and this is how the rule of the game is. It is how it is. So at the end of the day, you do what is good for the family office. Do what is good for the family, and it's a big responsibility. At times you get overwhelmed by the kind of responses that you get. 2 years back, nobody used to send me a message on LinkedIn saying that I love what you've done in your career and stuff like that. Today I get that on a daily basis. It gets to your head at some point in time, but at the end of the day, you have Sanjay, you have Priya, you have your wife at home or your mother at home, who will actually ground you down and tell you that get a life, you've not done anything in life.
I'm glad that Sanjay doesn't ground you down. I mean,
No, dude, Vishesh, there are a lot of times when you actually go and meet with him, and while just talking, he'll just impart something which is actually very, very good and very, very informative and useful, right? So those are the gems, very simply, sitting with Rani ma'am, Sanjay's mother, I sit with her and, when we are talking to her, she might just drop some gem. Yeah. Matlab it's like that. And then you realize that, hi, yaar, what you've been thinking in life, what is our age? Yeah, we've not done anything right.
My own
Right?
language, I call it call of wisdom. Like you spend 3 minutes with them, they'll give you one point which wouldn't have taken them 30 seconds, and that is so much information for you that you can't absorb it in a day.
We'll have to agree to this, that we've become a little lucky in life that we've gotten a good break here.
Certainly that's
yes. So we'll agree to that.
Yeah. So that's a very happy note to end on, because I see Aditya also coming on.
Yeah.
So Aditya,
I was tempted to come in. I'm sorry to interrupt, Sonu. I was tempted to come in. Raman just talked about world is pepping him up, and there are 3 people who tell him kuch nahi ho raha hai. But I want to tell Raman, he's such a classic case. Raman, from Edelweiss from the wealth advisory side, you've traversed this thing towards the single family office so early in life. Believe you me, in our entire work with the financial services community, this is one question I have faced the maximum number of times by wealth professionals, that how do we become family office advisors?
Yeah, Aditya, I'll be very honest with you. I was very lucky. While at Edelweiss, I had the best time possible, man.
But still you need to answer my question. I was going to ask you this. Because there are a lot of people who are watching this program. We've created some programs for family office advising and all, especially to help such people who want to get into family office advising. So, give some tips. I mean, what worked for you? How did you really prepare yourself for such roles? Luck, I'm sure, only favors those who are prepared. So give it some tips.
Yeah, Aditya, to be very honest with you, like I said, I've just been very, very lucky throughout my career. I'm not going to take that aspect out of anything. I was very lucky that I joined in 2008, just before the financial markets crashed. And I was in a company called MK Global Financial. 2008 was a bad year for everyone. I was so junior in the system that everybody had so much time that they imparted so much knowledge to me. Right? That's where it started. Everybody had so much time that, all the analysts were sitting with me, my notes bana raha tha, and everything was great, nice. Then I went to Edelweiss. I had great 8 years with Edelweiss. They were kind enough. I saw a trend towards wealth management and family offices. I went to the head of wealth management there, and I said that, I want to look after your wealth management division. I don't want to be in institutional equities anymore. I think that, things are falling apart. People are going into DMAs and stuff like that. I don't want to get into the... So I spotted that trend. And the idea, when I moved to Delhi, I was so glad that, that the kind of people that I worked with, and Sonu knows some of them as well, the kind of people that I worked with was so good, was so respectful. Despite me coming from the sell side, they all respect me, and I only worked with people who respected me in return of what I was providing. Yes, you have to work hard on your skill, understanding, knowledge of investments and stuff like that. That's part and parcel of the role as a sell side or as a buy side guy. But I was very, very fortunate that I met Sanjay at the right point of time in his career as well. He was about to sell his company. He was getting some money. He was thinking about family office. And no matter what, and Vishesh will agree, these guys are very well exposed to the world. They travel the world. They meet tons of people. Tons of people want to meet them, etc., etc. And they want to impart knowledge to these guys as well. So they are very, very privileged in that regard. And hence, it was great timing for me to be there when he wanted to set up a family office. That's why I said luck played a very important role, and I was at the right place at the right time.
But I'm sure you had also prepared yourself to ride that luck when it came to you.
Yes, I said yes at all points of time. That's how I rode my luck.
No, I think that's a good takeaway for a lot of juniors or others who want to make a career in this line, that, just keep preparing. You never know when the opportunity strikes. And
I keep saying this, you're in the financial service or any other business where you're on the sell side or sales or anything, you're there to make friends. You're not there to make investors, and you're there to make friends. If you make a friend out of an investor, he will work with you no matter where you go in life.
Absolutely.
So that's how I used to work. I always made friends. I still have my ex-clients coming to my birthday parties, not in the last 1 year, but they've still been coming to my birthday parties. They come to my house. My son was born, half of them, sent gifts and stuff. So, that's how you make a relationship here.